I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everyone. How is it going? We are back. It's another week. We're still at home, right? As you can see, the same backgrounds, right? But
Chilling.
that's how it works, right? We still make it happen. So I hope everyone is safe and healthy at home. And oops, you see, I lost my phone. Here we go. I'm back. And with me today is, of course, as always, my colleague. You know, she knows it all. She's like the gossip news anchor for the show. Ashley Dior Jones is in the house. Hello.
Hi, guys. So
How are
excited
you?
to chat about this episode.
Oh my God, we found out. Oh my God. I don't know how you feel, but I have so many questions. This is crazy, you know?
I am over the
I-
moon. I'm over the moon that I finally know what Dev's freaking is. Thank you.
Exactly. Well, we're going to talk all about that. And just for you guys, we also, of course, have Tyler Simone on the show, always with us. And she's going to join us in a couple of minutes. So just stay tuned for that. We're going to let you know as soon as she's joining us. And yeah, I was really like, you know, I was surprised. I was shocked. I was everything on that show, right? And we also have our producer, Ryan, like in the back, right? And he's going to be very excited what we have to tell him today. So Ryan, watch out for the information we got. It's crazy.
You got it.
But anyway, we're going to talk a lot about, because the topics, Ryan, you're going to be like, trust me. I mean, definitely we're going to talk about why is Lily going to Forest out of a sudden, just like that, right? I want to definitely talk a little bit more about that. And then definitely talking about Katie, right? Ashley, you and I, we just talked about it for a second. Katie just gave away so much today, right? She basically now tells us a little more what she actually does and how she is and how she is connected with Forrest. We definitely talk about that. And then, of course, and I knew it from the very beginning, that Jamie and Lily gonna make love again. Oh yeah. Right, of course, Ryan, you know that's gonna be fun. But
I think there seems to be a lot of love making with these people.
Yeah. I think in the world we live in, I think every show that we're watching right now on Netflix or everywhere is always about love making right now, right? So everyone is kind of making some love, and of course, Devs is doing the same thing. They don't want to leave out, and yeah, we're gonna talk about all these topics, and then of course. We also have news and gossips, right, Ashley? We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yes.
I'm not giving it away. Giving it away, but we have a very interesting person that we're going to talk about who's obviously connected to that show. And then also we have our MVP today, and we still not going to tell you now who it is, but you might have a feeling if you watch the episode. It's a little obvious. But yeah, let's go right into it. I definitely want to talk about the very, very beginning, which was very interesting. And I think Devs as a show does a very good thing on like showing the first couple of minutes or even seconds, just give us kind of a feeling about what this episode is going to be about. And I found that very interesting, especially with Forrest and his daughter, right? They basically had a scenario where they showed the life of Forrest and his daughter before he lost her. And very interesting. So he seemed like a very loving dad, right? He was very much into her. Obviously, as we know, he loved her so much. That's the reason why he does all that. But it was just interesting to see him like sitting on a couch, playing the guitar, and the daughter is just running around. By the way, very cute kid. I think the cast is very cute.
Very cute.
What was your feeling when you saw that, especially thinking about Forrest and as we experienced him so far?
I thought it was just so nice to see Forrest in his old life. It was so nice to see how happy he was, and he definitely seems very different now that, you know, not only his daughter but his wife are also no longer a part of his life. But it was lovely to see him being so euphoric and you know, just a regular, normal, cool, loving dad. It was really nice to see that side of him, like before everything happened in his life kind of, you know, changed so dramatically. So I was really happy to see kind of that softer side of Forrest in the opening of the show.
Totally true. The same here. I mean, I'm still don't really get my head around. I mean, maybe you guys at home, if you're watching us right now, please give us your ideas, because I'm still thinking, okay, is he just a loving dad who wants his daughter back? Is that the reason why he does all these things, that he's even like has people killed, you know, all of that stuff? or is he kind of a psychopath? Is he really someone who's just like a psycho in a way? And of course he is or was a dad, but he's also like a psychopath, right? I'm still not really getting my hand around that, if he's just doing it out of emotions or he's just a little crazy. I mean,
yeah, well,
actually, what do you think?
when Lyndon appeared in, oh gosh, in Stuart's trailer, first of all, Stuart lives in a trailer.
I know.
Like,
I mean, he's like,
like
you should
what
have more
in
money,
the
right?
world? Exactly. Like, what, why you're a genius. Why are you living this way? But when
I know.
Lyndon showed up, like trying to get him to help get her job back, it was just very interesting because Lyndon was like, Forrest is crazy. Like, he lost his kid and he kind of lost it after that. So I think I think Lyndon definitely thinks that Forrest is crazy, but I just think Forrest is so smart and so intelligent that he knows that there's a different possibility to what happened, and he's just not going to stop until he finds that. So I don't think that's crazy. I think that's loss.
Yeah, you're totally right.
And they definitely get into that later on in the episode. Loss makes you do crazy things, just like love makes you do crazy things. So I don't think he's crazy. I think it's just kind of his new normal, as weird as that may sound.
No, I totally get it. It's a very fair point. And by the way, coming back to to the trailer situation, I'm just thinking, hey, as long as you're not fired from that, you don't have the money yet.
I guess
remember?
That's no
You just have
fun.
to get fired first to get the $10 million, right? And then you can just buy a mansion or whatever. Just saying, So maybe you should think about. But talking about Lyndon coming back, very interesting situation, because as we realize, I mean, she's 19 years old, right? She's a kid still. She's very smart, obviously. I think for me personally, one of the smartest in the room, like with all these people, but she got fired, as we remember, for finding out information or like having the code cracked a little bit more. And I think Forrest wasn't really ready for that. But now she's coming back and she's telling everyone, hey, you know what? That's my life. Death is my life. So I can't live without it. I just want to go back. So how did you feel about that, Ashley, when she said that, knowing that she also said in the same breath, hey, I know Forrest is a psychopath and he's crazy, but I still can't live I can't live without that environment. So how did you kind of connect these dots? Because she's almost kind of, I want to work for them, but he's still a psychopath. So how did you feel about that?
Well, I think Lyndon is another genius, and when you're so like entrenched with so much information and so much possibility, like it's gotta hurt when that's gone. There's gotta be a huge void in her life now. Even though she has $10 million isn't going to give her the experience that Debs did. So I just think she just misses that, and just wants to keep learning and wants to keep growing and wants to keep like pushing the limit. And she doesn't have those opportunities now. So I think she just wants to get back in the action. I can't blame her,
I get it. And that makes me feel like, and guys, also to everyone at home, everyone who's watching, life, and I know money makes life easier, but it doesn't make you happy, right? And I think that's the best example. You can have the money in the world, whatever, but if you can't really do what you love doing, so money can't really buy you that,
Right. She wanted to be fulfilled, just like I think with Forrest, it's not about the money. Like it's about he wants to be fulfilled in a different way.
So true. I mean, that's interesting talking about Forrest. We basically, before we get into like the apartment or house scene at Forrest's house, want to talk about like very quickly about Jamie and Lily, because they escaped, right? As we remember last episode, Jamie was taking Lily out of this kind of institution or whatever and just escaped with her, I think to Napa or something, right? I think he just went somewhere in a motel or something like that. And the interesting thing is Lily still got it all together. I think she's a very smart person, obviously, and she's emotional in a way. But what I like about her is she's emotional, but she's still kind of clear thinking. I think she knows exactly what she's doing. And at some point she realized, hey, you know what? We just escaped. They probably don't know where we are right now. But if you want to get money from the ATM or something, they can track you down. They know where we are. So how much money you have left, how much cash you have left, which is a very interesting like situation for all of us to realize, hey, she's a very strong character. I really like that about her. She's very emotional, I think, the way how she expresses her feelings, but also very smart on the other side. So how do you feel about that? A very interesting combination of the character.
So I think once she got rescued from the psych ward, it was kind of like, what are my options? Like, what can I actually do to move forward from this point? And she saw that she really didn't have that many options. They didn't have enough money to get anywhere. or to make any like broad changes. So I was
Right.
really shocked by the decision she made to go and see Forrest in the middle of the night. Like that was the last thing I would have expected.
Oh yeah.
But if you think about it, like what else could she have done in that moment? Like with no money, no guidance, like she had to get to the root of it. And I think that's what I really like about Lily is she's a fighter and she's smart and she's not going to stop until she, you know, gets the information that she wants. And she's fearless, which I think is so cool.
It's great. I think she's like, she's definitely like the protagonist right now. She's the hero, right? The hero of the story, obviously. So I really like that about her. So she kind of, you know, the character arc of her is great to see how she becomes this person out of a sudden and just taking over and trying to make it work. So, and the funny thing is like, I was expecting that she's really going to Forrest's house by herself because we have that one moment before we go to the house where basically Jamie is saying, you know what? Okay, I'm just staying at the motel. I'm watching cartoons while you go to Forrest. So I thought she's really going to make that work. Did you feel like that she's definitely going to go by herself or that she's definitely still taking Jamie?
I didn't think she was going to go by herself at all.
Really?
Not from her own situation, but from Jamie. Jamie would never let her go there alone. He loves her too much. He's proven that over and over again. So there's no way he would let her walk into harm's way without him being there to help her if needed.
Exactly. So, and now, I mean, talking about those two guys, the next scene is actually Forrest's house, right? And Ryan, watch out for this. This is going to be crazy for you. So we're going to come to Forrest's house. I mean, it's a crazy situation, to be honest, because the first thing is, of course, like Jamie and Lily at the house. I didn't expect that at all, right? So why does she do that? And of course, as you just said, Ashley, she doesn't have any way out. That's the you can do right now, right? You need answers, and where do you go? You go to the person who has the answers to all your questions, obviously, right? So she does that, and interesting thing is that we see a millisecond before we see Forrest in bed, laying in bed, and we see a blonde girl, and I was like, she's blonde, okay.
I know.
Who do I know on that show who's blonde?
Katie, girl.
I was like, I couldn't believe it. I
was shocked too. I was not expecting that. I mean, I thought like, they were friends, but I didn't know they were that close of friends.
I mean, you know, that's sometimes, I mean, I hear that very often right now. You become friends first and all of a sudden you basically in bed together. Just saying, you know, I heard
mean,
that
it makes
before.
sense because it's like, who else would understand Forrest the way that Katie does? And who else would understand Katie the way that Forrest does? Because they are just people on a whole nother level. So it makes sense that they would want to keep each other company after work.
For sure. And it was just an interesting twist. And I feel the cut was very well done because they showed us these two people like Katie and Forrest in bed right before we basically like Lily and Jamie knocking on his door. And Forrest says something very interesting in the scene when he's laying in bed. She rings the doorbell, Lily rings the doorbell, and Forrest says, she's here. So which tells all of us they knew already that this is gonna happen. And
because they looked into the future. And I still can't get over them looking into the future and knowing everything that's happened. This whole multiverse thing is just fascinating to me. Just fascinating.
I mean, I totally agree. I mean, how crazy would that be, right? I'm always thinking about real life. How crazy would it be if we could predict the future for all of us, right? We can just know what we're going to do in 5 years, you know? What we're going to do
but if you listen to Katie, it's not a prediction at all.
I mean,
you know?
We're going to talk about that in a second. I'm not sure yet.
Predetermined.
I mean,
I'm dying.
I'm not sure about Katie yet, but you know, we're going to talk about that in a second. But what's interesting is I feel like that Forrest and Katie, when he said that, in particularly this sentence, I felt like, okay, this is all planned out in a way. I think they definitely wanted to have it exactly like that they laying in bed together, almost waiting for them. They're waiting for them to ring the doorbell exactly at that night, at that time. So they were prepared for it. And what happened? Forrest coming down, opening the door, like randomly, like, oh, hey, Lily, come on in. He felt so normal. He was like, okay. And I knew, he knew that this is going to happen. He comes in and we have this little scene, beautifully shot, where he's asking her, hey, would you like to have a drink? Like just random questions, like nothing happened. You know, it was so random in a way. Okay, what would you like to drink, Lily and Jamie? We have like water, juice, or whatever you like. And then we have that little scene when no one is talking and he just puts a glass and he's just filling it with water. And we see that for a second, and then we just have it silent, and the water cup is just standing on the table or sitting on the table on the counter. And I was like, well, how did you feel about that moment? Because I felt like they wanted to tell us something with the water glass.
So I honestly didn't think that deep into that part of the episode. I just thought that what was most interesting to me was that, Forrest is kind of normal. Like, he was asleep in a bed with his girlfriend. He woke up, he was in a robe. He offered them water or juice. Like, his house looked normal. I was like, is he like a normal guy? I that's what I thought. I thought they were just trying to set this, be like, he is a genius, but like deep down, he's just like the rest of us. I thought it was very interesting to see him from that perspective. Because, in the first episode, he was eating like his salad with his hands, so we thought, like he's kind of odd. But seeing him in his home and in his environment, I was like, he's like a real guy, which I thought was cool.
That's true. But then I have to ask you again, isn't that maybe on purpose?
Probably.
just making it look like we are normal. We are just a normal couple, Katie and myself. We just live at home and we have juice and water in our fridge.
That's very
why
valid.
not? I'm just thinking about that, because what happens is very interesting. Jamie and Lily stand right in the living room, like in the corridor, and then they look to the left and, oh my God, Katie's here. She just came out of nowhere, right? Katie comes into the room, and then they split the group. Very interesting moment where Forrest and Katie basically say, hey, you know what? I want to talk to Katie. I want to talk to Lily. Katie and Lily stay inside, and Forrest and Jamie go outside. So very obvious to me, at least, that was all planned out. They did that on purpose, right? Because as we can tell, the conversation with Katie and Lily, starting with that conversation, is a very interesting, because Katie almost talks in a quiz. She's almost like making a quiz out of it. She's asking her questions to basically, trying to give her the answers by letting Lily asking her questions.
I
thought just very interesting.
I thought it was just, again, trying to prove how normal they were when, like, okay, the women are going to talk in the kitchen and the men are going to get out of the way and go outside and talk. That's kind of how I saw it. Like,
interesting.
If we really want to connect at a very basic level, let's split up the genders, and let's, like, this is how women best communicate and this is how men best communicate. So let's cut all the garbage and let's really, like, get down to the nitty gritty.
That's so interesting. And it's great that you now, it's great that because you are a woman, I'm a man. So it's interesting. We have completely different views on that, because you think, okay, that's something that women and men do because it's communication. Honestly, I was just thinking it's because they want to manipulate these people. That's why they basically separate them from each other, because it's easier to manipulate someone by himself than having two people at the same time. That's what I felt.
Very valid. Anyway, also a valid point.
But guys, let us know at home. Why do you think they basically they separated them from each other, Jamie and Lily? Why did they do that? What is your opinion on that? Let us know in the YouTube chat. We're going to get back to you for sure. But talking about Katie and Lily, about the relationship, very interesting, because that was intense. That was really intense. And it took me a minute to understand what Katie is trying, right? But the key essence of the conversation is that Lily wants to know what is death, right? That's the key thing. And she didn't even know. I think Lily didn't even know that she wanted to ask that question, because Katie is trying to even help her by asking her a counter question. So what do you really want to know? Think about it, Lily. What do you really want to know? And then out of a sudden, Lily knows, okay, I want to know what depth is. And what Katie explains, and I just want to repeat that very quickly to let everyone understand how I actually felt about that. She's just saying what we already kind of knew, that the depth department is able to see the past again. She talked about Jesus on the cross for a second, right? We remember the episode where we see Jesus for a minute, and also can predict or see into the future. And therefore can determine actually, or can predict what's going to happen in the future somehow by seeing different kind of scenarios in the future, and therefore kind of understand what might happen. So that's the understanding. But Lily was kind of fighting it. How did you feel about that, Ashley? I felt like she kind of had a feeling that is something they could do, but I think she just didn't want to accept it at that point, because she was still hurt emotionally by losing her ex-boyfriend Sergey dying because of that stuff.
Yeah.
How did
so
you feel?
I think Lily was a little averse to it initially because, I mean, she even said, how are you going to tell me what I'm going to choose? Like, I think the whole idea of devs just wasn't something that was, you know, in her mind, something that she was thinking about. And I love that Katie literally said, devs is nothing ever happens without a reason. Everything was determined by something prior. And I was
wrote
like,
that down too.
Because that was like, that's what I've been searching for this whole freaking season. So I was really glad that they finally literally spelled it out in layman's terms for me. It made me so happy. Tyler!
Oh, there she is. Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey!
Oh, she's still trying to get there. Can it? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome Tyler Simone. Here she is. Hello. Right with us.
You're so happy to see you.
Good to see you.
Happy to see you guys. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to join you finally.
No problem. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. We missed you already. And just wanted to get you back on track. Of course, you watched the show. So we are basically talking about the very specific moment and the most important moment about Katie and Lily sitting in the kitchen having the conversation about the devs department, right? Or the devs scenario. So, just wanted to also get your understanding while I talked to Ashley about it, just getting a feeling for what Katie was trying. And I said, honestly, for me, Katie is just basically personally manipulating her in a way. That's how I felt, right? Because at the end, Katie just wanted to make her understand, Lily, what you really want to know is what the devs department actually does. And then she explained it to her saying, hey, you know what? We can see into the past, we can see what happened, but more importantly, we can also see the future. Yeah. So, and I felt personally that Lily, and also Ashley said that in a way, was still kind of averse about it. She didn't really want to accept that. Even that she might have had a feeling because she was still maybe hurt or emotionally impacted by her ex-boyfriend dying because of these scenarios. So what did you feel, Tyler, when you watched that specific moment when Katie is trying to explain to her what that actually means?
Well, I, for one, was shocked that she was giving all the information. That's
a good point.
She was so honest, and it makes me feel a little uneasy because I don't know, why else would she tell her all of that stuff? I feel like it is manipulation. I just don't know for what.
Good point. Very good point. It's funny you say that. I thought the same thing. Why would Katie, who was always so mysterious and secretive, why would she out of a sudden sit down at a table and just talk about stuff so openly? That's a very good point.
I honestly think that she knew that Lily wouldn't, this was the only way. The only way that Lily would have some type of closure, some type of, get off of her back is if she told her most of the truth. But now we know she didn't tell her all of the truth, but she told her most of the truth. And I think that was the only way that she can get Lily to trust her in any way or believe what she was saying. She had to be honest.
True. I mean, we talk about something in a second after this all happened and after Lily and Jamie left the house, because Katie is telling something to Forrest, in the very last moment of this episode, that I wanted to point out, connected to what we just talked about, but I'm coming to that in a second. First of all, I wanted to come back and just wanted to get a feeling for what you just mentioned, Ashley, and also wanted to ask Tyler about, because Katie says something that you mentioned, Ashley. She said, nothing happens without a reason. And honestly, when she said that, I actually had to think about my own life for a minute and had to think, okay, let me think about that for a minute. So is it really true? Is there not a random event that just happened in my life that just happened without a reason? And then I really thought about it, and she's actually right. There's always something that happens before something happens, and it's almost the trigger for something that's going to happen. So, what did you guys feel about it? I just wanted to ask you, what did you feel about that when she said that? I mean, Tyler, maybe you, because Ashley and I just talked about that. What did you think about your own life, maybe even?
I agree with you. It made me think about my own life and how, like you said, nothing happens without there being an event that happened that led up to that new event. And it's kind of creepy when you think about it, but it makes total sense. And that makes me think that everything is already planned out. There's this path that we don't know how we're going to get to certain points in our life, but it's already been planned out and we don't know it yet.
True. And you know what? Thank you. Appreciate that. And also what I wanted to tell you guys, what I also felt is while she said that to her, that everything in life, no matter what it is, happens for a reason. And because I'm doing this today or doing this right now, this is going to have an effect on what's happening maybe in an hour. So what we just do right now, having the show, for example, is going to affect on some viewers, maybe writing something about what we just said, just to get an idea. And then I thought about something. I was like, okay, wait a minute. If that's the truth, that means that Katie now is sitting at the table with Lily because she knows if I'm doing that right now, this is going to trigger Lily going to the devs department. Because if I wouldn't have done that right now, as Katie sitting with her here and telling her all that, she probably would have never gone to the devs department. Because remember, what Katie is already saying is, you're going to go to the devs department tomorrow. If you want it or not, you're going to do it, Lily. Trust me. And I think that was the reason why they did all that. How do you guys feel about that? But just my theory. I'm just putting that out there, you know?
Yeah, no, this was really, this portion of the show it was kind of hard for me because I am religious and I do feel that, you know, we were given the gift of free will. But when you think about like how situations unfold, it's like, oh, but do we? But I still have to believe, you know, just for my own personal sanity that, you know, I do get to make these choices, but these choices that I make may have a ripple effect. So that's kind of how I was able to wrap my head around it and keep like my sanity.
No, it's true.
Yeah, that's a good point. Religion. I also thought about illness, and Katie brought this up too in that conversation. I think the illness she talked about was leukemia, but it's just, you know, things like that. And why did that happen? And she said, you know, it's not always for a good reason, but it's for a reason. And that really made me think too. It's a scary thought, but
that was,
I mean, guys at home, if you're watching right now, please, because I was thinking about that for a very long time. If you have anything that comes up that happens without having a reason, let us know, please. Because right now I feel there's nothing. But anyway, maybe I don't know about everything. But talking about this scenario, in the meantime, going back to Forrest and Jamie sitting outside, and honestly, if you ask me, that was definitely a manipulation. I mean, come on. Forrest was really trying very hard to get information out of Jamie. I feel like he knew exactly who he was. He's just trying to play a game with him, letting him feel like, hey, I understand where you're coming from. And then out of a sudden, he does something very smart. He talks about love. He talks about someone lost in life and how it feels. Because obviously he knows exactly, that's what I think, that Jamie loves Lily, and he's just trying to get closer to Jamie for some reason that we probably don't even know yet. But that was a very interesting moment, and I think that explains it even more why they separated them from each other. So Forrest was trying to manipulate him, and then Katie the same with Lily. So I wanted to ask you about that. What do you think is Forrest trying to do or try to do with Jamie? Tyler, maybe you. Why did he ask him all those questions? Why? Because it felt like that he wanted to win him over. He wanted to win his trust in that moment.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that he's trying to make him comfortable. And poor Jamie he's just so afraid. I could sense his fear sitting there. I mean, Kenton just broke his finger and he knows that Forrest is tied to Kenton. So I would be afraid too. I do think that Forrest is trying to ease his mind. I'm your friend type of thing. But I feel like something bad is going to happen pretty soon.
I must be pretty naive because I wasn't thinking that at all. I was thinking that, you know, maybe he's just trying to connect with Jamie in some way, shape, or form, because they both, like, what they talked about isn't untrue. Like, they both are dealing with loss and they both are brokenhearted. So I just thought it was a moment that maybe, you know, they could both kind of connect in some way. I didn't think anything sinister was happening, but I could be wrong.
Wow, actually, you're much more positive than I am. Thank you so much for that. Seriously, I'm too negative. I can feel that right now. Benjamin,
it's so hard
negative.
to tell.
No,
it's hard to tell.
It's true. But I just wanted to point out one sentence that Forrest says at the end when they basically have some silence for a minute. And then out of a sudden, Forrest looks over to Jamie and just says something. I think, hey, Jamie, don't worry. Everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to work out just fine. And he seemed so calm while he was saying it, that he was 100% sure about that. To me, it felt like he definitely knows it's going to work out. But then still again, what does that mean to Forrest if he says it's going to work out just fine, right? That could mean anything. So Ashley, what did you feel when he said that? What do you feel like does he mean by that?
I mean, I know that he could see the future. So I'm just
Sure.
guessing that whatever will be, and everything will be okay in the end. Like, that's the only way I can answer that. I literally have no clue.
Still positive. Like it.
Still positive.
That's great. Tyler, what about you? That's a tough one, right?
I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question. I'm so confused by Forrest and Katie this episode because they touched on it a little bit. Lily in the car said, no, they're crazy, like they're insane. And that was what I was thinking last episode. So I'm so confused about whether they're on their side or not. Like Katie telling her that she's gonna be at Devs, it's like, is that because she's gonna contribute in a, I don't know, I'm confused. Forrest confuses me. Is he a nice guy or is he not a nice guy?
I mean, good point. I mean, before you joined, we talked about it. Is he like an emotional dad who lost his own kid, right? Is that why he's acting that way, or is he just a psychopath? End of the story. Bottom line, you never know. But I think we're going to find out very soon. But what I also wanted to talk about very, very quickly before we come to the end scene with Lily and Jamie, you know what I'm talking about. But before we're going to come to that, I just wanted to talk about the sentence or the one phrase that Katie is telling Lily, coming back to what I already mentioned, is, Lily, you're going to be at the deaths department if you want it or not. You're going to be there, right? And then she's also, correct me if I'm wrong, but she's also saying something about the breakdown. She's talking about the breakdown. This is going to happen. And Lily, you are going to be part of it. And I remember that one scene, I think it happened 2 episodes ago, when we saw something. They predicted the future, or they looked into the future, and we saw that one body on the ground trying to survive. So there was someone dying. And then all of a sudden someone said, I think it was even Katie, this is Lily actually going to die in the next 48 hours or something like that. Do you remember that scene?
Yes.
And I feel like there was kind of a connection between what she said in this episode and that's what they saw back then. So, and talking about breakdown, that's almost sounds like the world is going to be over. That's how it sounded like to me. Something crazy is happening, and we're all gonna be gone in a way. That's how crazy it sounded. But I mean, I couldn't get my head around it. I mean, Ashley, what did you think? What did she mean, and why is Lily involved?
Well, I thought it was interesting that Katie said that this is when the future stops. Like, this is when we can no longer see anymore. And after that whole spiel about, there is no free will, everything is predetermined, all of this, and then you're telling me that the future is going to end at this particular moment, and Lily has something to do with it. It was that part I was really taken aback by it. I don't know what Lily has to do with it, and I don't know what information Katie and Forrest are keeping from us, but I think it's big. It's big.
The thing is, Tyler, I also want to talk to you about that for a minute, but I just wanted to ask you, Ashley, just remind me, because I had a feeling that she's saying, okay, the future is going to stop. So that means everything that might happen in the future is not going to happen for some reason. And she didn't just mean, okay, we at Devs are not going to be able anymore to predict the future. So she really made a point and said, hey, the future is going to be gone, obviously. That's how I understood. I mean, Tyler, what did you feel? What did she try to tell us?
And this is just a theory, but maybe.
I love that. I love theories. Oh, yeah.
So many theories going on. Maybe she's going to go to Devs and somehow ruin everything they've built to the point where she completely stops time. I don't know, because why is she so significant to stopping the universe and
Yeah.
what's already been planned. The only thing I can think of is if she gets into the system somehow and affects the codes.
Yeah.
I don't know what else she would be doing there. And then how did she end up dying if that is her in the projection?
That's right.
How did we get there?
People, so many questions. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. So, I mean, but the thing is, what I'm thinking, I'm not sure, but it sounds a little bit like that. Okay, I can definitely see what you're saying. She's gonna go to the dev department because it's predetermined, right? So that means Katie told her already, hey, you're gonna be there no matter what. And I'm just saying, like, I'm just feeling if that's the case, and what you say, Tyler, that she's trying to stop the department whatsoever, almost shows or tells me that the dev department is the department who creates the future for all of us.
Yes.
You know, that's basically how it sounds like to me. Because if you stop death, you automatically also see the future because we create the future. I know that's not really religious. That's not really religious.
Scares me.
I know, people. If you're religious out there, it's just a theory, okay? I'm just I'm just talking. I'm just saying. Anyway, guys, just want to make it quick. We also want to talk about the homeless guy very quickly because he's still one of my favorite, and he just came back at the end. We see before Jamie and Lydia are making love, we see the homeless guy sitting outside. And I totally believe, and I said that before, I believe he's going to have more like an important impact on the next 2 episodes. For some reason, I feel there's something happening with this guy. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely something happening. And then, of course, what I also wanted to mention is I'm actually glad when Lily came up, and because, Jamie's getting ready for bed, he's like preparing the couch, and then Lily comes up, said, hey, you can come into my bed.
Wait, before we get into that, I want to point out one really important part of the show. When Kenton was watching them all together, I was like, he's not in on this. I was like,
thanks.
What is he going to do? Right. So that had me thinking, so maybe Forrest and Katie aren't so bad.
True.
Maybe it's been Kenton being the bad guy all along.
How could I forget Kenton? One of my favorite characters. Oh, sorry, Kenton. Sorry. No, thank you so much for mentioning it, Ashley. Of course, he was not a big part of that, but he had a very specific moment when he realized, he's thinking now, Lily and Forrest, Amy and Katie are now working together. So I think he assumed something completely different that not really happened. But I think it gives it a good twist right now to the whole show that he might do something now that he actually maybe wouldn't have done if he wouldn't have seen these people together, right? So that was very interesting. But then also coming back to something, again, they're making love, they're having a good time, and I really like that because I feel like I'm happy for Jamie, That's just what I wanted to say. That's my end statement here right now. But before we come to an end, obviously, I don't want to miss that because I mentioned already, we have some exciting news, Ashley, right? You definitely wanted to talk about.
Oh my gosh, yes, I do have some exciting news.
That we should be thankful for. Here we go.
For the news and gossip portion of today's show, Dev's writer, director, producer, Alex Garland actually sat down with GQ just a couple of days before the coronavirus kind of pandemic went out. And he gave his opinion on what he thinks about free will. So I'm just going to read a couple quotes that he said from the article, which are really interesting. So this is what Alex Garland said. I don't want to suggest that I know because I don't, but my instincts are leaning towards us not having free will. Alex continues, I don't see where free will is supposed to be. I can't see where it's supposed to happen. We are physical objects that live in a physical universe. Our personalities are dictated partly by genetics and partly by environment, and we react according to those genetic and environmental factors and influences. I also totally accept that I could be completely wrong.
That's honest.
That was smart. That was smart.
I was like, that's so great. That's so great to hear. And he also had some words to say about COVID and the whole pandemic. So Alex is actually more worried about climate change than COVID-19. He says coronavirus is not really polarizing. No one wants to get it. They know they don't want to get it. Climate change is something that some people don't even believe exists.
Yeah.
So
AKA Leonardo DiCaprio. Just saying.
So I was like, this amazing man who's like the writer and producer of this awesome show, like he still doesn't know it all. but he definitely has some feelings about the world we're living in now. So I just thought, definitely check out that article. He really goes into the characters and kind of like the setup of the show and more of his thoughts. So definitely check it out if you have the chance.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Thank
That's
you.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
And I think I can definitely see what he's talking about, because if you're really thinking about the circumstances we're all facing right now globally, and then also connecting it to deaths, at the end of the day, if something like that happens, something we cannot even control, like external powers or whatever, we don't have really free will, because we just have to react to the situations that are happening in our lives and just have to try to make it work, right? And have to survive and do whatever it takes. And I think that's also a very important point when we talk about the deaths show. I think Lily is basically trying the same thing right now, right? She just want to make the right things for herself and trying to live a normal life, but still wants to find out what the deaths department is doing, right? So I definitely understand and see the parallels here right now. That's very, thank you so much, Ashley. I really appreciate that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then also, obviously, Tyler, you joined a little bit later, but we obviously also have an MVP that Ashley and I felt like is definitely Katie today.
Ooh.
And I just wanted to have your opinion on Katie, like as the MVP today. So why do you think she is definitely the MVP today? And if you're not be open to say something completely different.
Okay. I can agree with that. I can agree. Katie is the MVP. She really showed just how powerful she is in Forrest's life. I think as the show has gone on, it's kind of like that saying, behind every great man is like a strong or powerful woman, whatever the quote is. But she is a really big part in Forrest's life. So I can definitely agree. MVP for sure. I'm excited to see more of her. She's starting to become one of my favorite characters, actually.
For sure. For sure. Ashley, what about you?
I just love how smart and strong these women are in this show. I mean, they are not afraid of anything. They're completely fearless and they're so intelligent. And it's just so inspiring to see like these characters who are really just so whole. And we're seeing like women in a very interesting and complex light, which I just love.
Yeah,
I totally agree. And I think like what I really like about the industry, I think we see basically a complete shift to that. So it's not just this show. We have a lot of shows right now online, Netflix or anywhere like on like the networks, where you can basically see very strong female characters these days, which is a great thing for all of us, right? It opens up to more stories, different stories, and more opportunities for all of it. But what I just wanted to mention before we wrap the show today, talking about Katie and Forrest again, I have to say that the last scene, and I mentioned that already a little bit, is basically when they're back in bed and Katie is telling Forrest, okay, I told her what this is all about, but actually I didn't tell her everything, ? Just saying. So me still saying, which still means to me it all happened for a reason, that they did what they did. And what I also wanted to say is that Forrest is even questioning or asking Katie, so that means we actually like them. So he basically asked Katie, which tells me that she is the power in this relationship. I think Forrest will always do what Katie is telling him. So, which coming back to strong female characters, I think she really leads what Forrest is doing. Anyway, that's just my last statement. Thank you guys so much for joining today. Also, you guys at home, right? I hope you stay safe and healthy again, right? I think it's maybe a couple more weeks, but I'm positive, as I'm always, I mean,
always.
No, Ashley is the positive. Ashley,
I'm the positive one.
Yeah.
Of course you are. Okay. As Ashley said, just a couple more weeks and we're good. Right.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Fingers
crossed. No, we're gonna keep doing it, right? We have 2 more episodes, right? I really like doing it with you guys. And whatever happens, right? We're just gonna make the best out of the situation.
That's right.
So thank you so much, everyone. Ashley, thank you so much. And Tyler, but of course, Ashley, where can everyone find you?
On all social media platforms at Ashley Dior Jones, Twitter, Instagram, all of it. I'm there. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you. Tyler, what about you?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram at Miss Tyler Simone.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Yes, guys, I have Twitter now. I know I'm a little late, but it's at Benjamin Schnau, SCHNAU, like the dog Schnauzer, right? Check it out. And also thank you to Ryan Nilsson in the back, right? He's the main guy. Thank you so much for your support again. And thank you guys. Have a great week. Keep it up. Stay safe and healthy. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Yes. Stay safe. Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
Views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV.